Greetings and salutations, my fellow 7-foot-tall slugs. It is I, Eric J. Chucky, joined, as always, by the boy.
Hey, I'm depressed now.
Because you're not a 7-foot-tall slug?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hope springs eternal. Hey, everybody!
This is the Two Nerds Podcast, and we are continuing from our first Fantasy Booking the Sequel Trilogy podcast into this podcast. Let me get the shit out of the way real quick. Like, comment, subscribe. I ain't worried about that bell, but I got a Patreon down in the description. If you want to give me some money, that'd be pretty cool because it helps me do the things I do without having to worry about a 9-to-5 job, and those suck. If you don't suck, you could give me that money like Rob, who extra doesn't suck because he's been supporting me for a long fucking time, and we love him over here. Say your line.
No, not this time.
Okay. If you haven't seen the previous podcast, we're not going through the preamble on this one because we have a lot of stuff to say and I really would like to cram it into one podcast. Why didn't we all do it as just one podcast to begin with? Because we shot our load of pre-recorded podcasts over the holiday and I really missed the buffer.
He means because there was too much to go over in one podcast. Dude!
I killed the fourth wall. I let it die.
All right, so we covered The Force Awakens and the basically Luke and Rey section with the changes we're going to make to that all through the last podcast. This podcast we're covering the rest of The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. One important thing from the Luke and Rey section of the last podcast that I want to mention is we're basically changing nothing about Luke. We're going to be making, we would make some small changes, just like little tiny, non-important changes to dialogue that helps set up the thing that he does in the third movie better, which, again, we're largely not changing. We both, especially White, really loves Luke's character arc in this trilogy, so we're not really going to mess with it too much, but just a couple tiny dialogue changes to make it more clear that what was wrong was that he was afraid. And that way when he is ascended to Forced Ghosthood and is no longer afraid and he gives his old version some razzin', it makes more sense.
Yeah. So I guess a big central theme in this movie is getting switched around from hubba, 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 money, 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 who can you trust, to war is hell.
This is probably one of the movie. This isn't the movie we're changing the most, but this is probably one of the bigger changes we're making because it's a big thematic shift.
Yeah, I think it still ends in the same sum, but there are different numbers we're adding together. So an IG unit just fell off of my desk. Pay it no mind. He's fine. The big thing is in the beginning. Mostly plays out like it did, but the reaction to Poe is that Holdo and Leia are pissed at him for risking his life in the opening gambit. Poe's more mad about the other pilots. He's, they were like, they're better people. I might be a great pilot, but that's all I am. Whereas they're arguing that he has the makings of a great commander.
Yeah, it's less of he's in the doghouse for doing the thing, and more of they're mad that he took a risk he didn't need to take, and he's mad he took a risk he didn't need to take because he thinks of himself as a great fighter jockey, but not someone who is good at choosing what to do, not a commander. So then when they take him aside and say you have the makings of a good commander, but you got to stop doing shit like this, instead of being pissed off that they would dare say he's not the best thing since sliced bread, he just doesn't believe them in the first place. It's a change in the fundamental premise.
Right. And I feel it is more organic to what we've established about Poe's character in the first film. What the original trilogy, the original sequel trilogy established about Poe's character, because this is a hard, weird shift suddenly.
This is one of the things that's going away due to the lack of directorial infighting.
Right.
So this is going to set up Poe's arc in the next two movies. Because he agrees that he fucked up in trying to take down the Super Star Destroyer. Whether or not it was successful, and it still is, he agrees that it was a bad call. And because he agrees it was a bad call and doesn't get lippy with his fucking boss for no reason, Holdo trusts him more.
Right.
So she explains her goddamn plan to her second in command, because the worst thing you do when you're trying to train someone for command and they've fucked up is put them in the bad boy corner and don't tell them anything to punish them. This isn't grade school. Treat him like an adult. And because you're supposedly an adult who's a good general and knows that unless it's a very important need-to-know secret, and this isn't, generally knowing that there is in fact a plan and not just you're a crazy asshole who has no plan, but you gotta trust me anyway, I have cool hair, is...
It is cool hair.
It is cool hair! But it's just, it's bad characterization for Holdo, it's bad characterization for fucking, I forgot his name for a second, Poe, and it's not very good characterization for Leia, although that is what it is.
Yeah. I believe at this point she's dead at the time, isn't she?
Well, she's unconscious
right.
for most of this, because they had to edit around some stuff.
I also think it's pretty important for Holdo and or Leia to talk about how what Poe did out there, a lot of it was good decision making. It was good delegating. It sucks that people died, but that's war.
Yeah, it's less he went off half-cocked and did a crazy bullshit thing. It's more, they had a fight, it wasn't the best call, but they had the fight, they won. It's just shit happens, man.
But like next time, recognize that you have an important position in this army and respect it.
Yeah, you like respect the fact that you're an excellent pilot. You're maybe the best pilot ever, but you also are more important as a leader of other men, so you can't go throwing your life away to take out one ship, even if it is a great big fucking ship.
There's also, because we can't quite get to the whole changes to the mutiny plot unless we go through Finn. So Finn is a slightly different character now. He's a little harder. His loyalty isn't wavering to the Resistance because he's a coward, something that I feel like in the vanilla sequel trilogy was solved by the end of the first movie and now is brought back for no reason.
Yeah, he takes up the lightsaber in the first movie. And that's something we're not changing. But
it's a good tease.
It's a good tease. And he fights Kylo Ren, a person he knows he's going to fucking lose to. Because he knows who Kylo Ren is. But he does it anyway because it's the right thing to fucking do. But when he wakes up from his injury, you killed everyone he knows. Well, not everyone he knows, but you killed people he grew up with. You killed his brothers in arms. Even if they're not doing the right thing, that's hard.
It's conflict. It's not necessarily that he doesn't want to... He wants the Resistance to fail or he wants to fight for the First Order. He just doesn't know if he should be fighting. And there's a lot of conflicted feelings, and he hasn't decided he's escaping, but it's on his mind.
Yeah, he's eyeballing them escape pods, which Rose doesn't notice. But instead of her being a wacky taser monkey, she's someone who is distraught and hurt by her sister's death, which they do in the original movie, but she gets over that shit way too fast.
Yeah.
Then
again, she's in a war. I think that could be a good focus point.
Well, with the change of her being someone who's distraught and sees this person trying to step out, instead of Finn, immediately backing down and fucking showing his belly, he stands up to her and goes, yeah, I lost people in that fight too. Most of them were on the planet. I don't know if I'm the right person to be fighting this fight. I agree it should be fought, but it might not be something I can deal with fighting. And then they have a much more honest, philosophical disagreement and a much more honest source of tension going forward, which helps.
There's a lot of Flyboy war stuff in the original New Hope trilogy, the 70s trilogy, that I don't feel is as present in the sequel trilogy. It's not in the prequel for obvious fucking reasons, but it should be in the sequel trilogy because we've got a lot of more of that gritty grounding. And one of the things I really liked about The Last Jedi was it felt much more like the 1970s feel. And I feel like we could really hammer that home if there's a little bit of war as hell in there. Not enough to leave the audience depressed. That's not the point. But, just add a little bit more realism, a little bit more philosophy.
And it makes importantly, it makes Canto Bight make sense. Because then it serves to undergird the philosophical message of the movie. War is hell, and the people who are profiting from it don't care that much.
Which, again, is present in The Last Jedi, but it is super subtextual. Like it's unnecessarily subtext.
Yeah, it's only like outright stated by one character who turns out to be a dickhead. So you need to undergird it a little bit more firmly if you want it to stick. And I think it's a good message, and I like it, but it needs to work better. And it's the reason Canto Bight is in the movie, so I want it to make sense.
Right.
Because right now Canto Bight lifts right out, and I hate that.
I mean, there's parts of it that help, but like it's too quiet. Much like Luke's fears, it's too quiet. It's there. It's just not. Star Wars is not a deeply philosophical movie. It's a fucking popcorn flick. But I would like this popcorn flick to make sense.
And yeah, this is also the empire of this trilogy. It's the middle movie. It can have more downbeats because it makes the next movie more up by comparison.
In that way, basically Holdo's plan involves the plan that the three of them came up with.
Yeah, Holdo's plan in this version does include sending a strike team, into the, onto the Star Destroyer that's chasing them to take it out, to take out its thrusters so they can get away. This is one of two plans Holdo's going for, but it's the plan that everyone knows. Holdo has the other plan, but doesn't tell, most of the people. She tells, Finn and Poe, because it's important that they know. But she doesn't. It's very clear that this is Plan B, and they don't want to go with Plan B.
So that's why they all go to Canto Bight. That whole thing happens pretty much the same. We put the Tom Hardy back in the Tom Hardy scene back in.
Maybe make it a little less comedic. This can be one of those. Hey, we're gonna generally improve performance. Tom Hardy's a great actor, but I might be the only person on Earth, I guess, who's willing to tell him to stop doing a fucking goofy accent. He doesn't get to do a weird out of place hillbilly accent for some reason, but we're keeping the basic scene where Tom Hardy sees Finn in dress as a First Order officer and goes. It's instead of being a comedy moment, it's more of a serious moment. Although I'm sure it's gonna be a little funny because Finn's still getting hit on the ass. That's funny.
It's a good joke.
It's a good joke.
It breaks attention.
And
also, since Finn is a bit more of a stick in the mud, he'll take it a little less.
So it's. Tom Hardy goes, I never really saw you as officer material. This is cut from the original movie. This exists. I never really saw you as officer material. I know we're not supposed to talk to officers while we're on duty, but hey, Batch 7, hoorah, or whatever he says. And he hits him on the ass, and then Finn goes, Batch 7, hoorah. As it's awkward, like he's a teenage boy and there's a pretty girl in the room. And I know Tom Hardy is pretty. I accept that. But instead, it's this version, it's heartbroken. Because he knows he's about to come here and try and blow this ship up.
Yeah, it's good. It's something that is really. I didn't know was in the thing until you mentioned it. After we had already made these changes.
It's such good characterization, and they cut it because Finn's role in the original, in the canon version of this, is to be Man Who Screams Rey, and so they didn't need it.
So ultimately, things play out pretty much the same.
We're cutting the whole mutiny arc, if that's not clear.
Right, but the Canto Bight and the Imperial Super Destroyer, whatever the fuck it's called, Benicio del Toro still fucks him over.
They still can't find the actual guy. They still have to go to Benicio del Toro. They get caught. Mm-hmm. Benicio del Toro still fucks him over because he has money, and he still vanishes from the series, never to be seen again.
Finn and Phasma still have their fight. He's got his big rebel moment.
And that fight is actually much more of a fight, because you've established Finn as an actual physical combatant and not
Jar Jar.
Jar Jar, not human C-3PO. So they actually have a brawl that Finn wins. And he gets his, you're scum, rebel scum, and then he pushes her into the fire.
Yeah. And because everything went haywire, Holdo still has to commit herself to sacrifice with the light speed thing.
And Poe argues with her, saying, I'm only good at one thing. You're a great general. You're better at that than me. I'm a good pilot. This is an incredibly difficult maneuver. You can't pull it off. I can. I need to be the one who does this. And then they have a fight about it.
Yeah. She insists that he's we need a good pilot to get people to safety. You've still got to outrun this and that. You've still got to outrun TIE fighters.
I'm the captain. This is the ship. I go down with it, not you. It's cowardly to have one of my subordinates do this when I can do it. And they keep fighting, and Poe just won't give up, and then Leia stun blasts him, and they drag him off the ship.
I mean, it basically ends the same way, except instead of being, for shame, Poe Dameron, you are fallible suddenly. It's like, this is war, and it sucks, and someone needs to make the sacrifice. As it turns out, you're more important than me. Also, I'm really only contracted for the one movie. This was fun, but I don't think I'll be back.
Yeah. It could be Holdo who stun blasts him. Could be Leia.
Sure. Yeah, whatever.
Leia doesn't have much to do in our version of this movie, so...
I mean, she still got to be a cool Force ghost, come in from outside. That's fine.
Yeah, she goes, we're not changing the Mary Poppins moment.
That's fine, yeah.
Fucking practically perfect in every way. Leave it in.
Yes, great.
So again, this is to help fuel Poe's character development through the series so that he has some of those things.
Yeah, character development. It'd be pretty good. Instead of just a bunch of shit that happens to be true about Poe, I guess. Another point in that is, I think it's better if Poe is the one who stops Finn's kamikaze run on Crate. So, like, Finn is galvanized as being for the rebellion, and now he's doing the stupid fucking thing that Poe was doing at the beginning of the movie. Going to sacrifice himself for no goddamn reason. When, like...
Which, maybe for a good reason.
Sure.
It's possible he could take that thing out. It's very possible.
But having a Finn is more important than not having a that thing.
Exactly.
And Poe recognizes
the exact
that.
same mirror thing that happens in the first, at the beginning, and Poe recognizing that, and the character development letting him see, past it to be able to make a good decision, be able to trust himself to be the one who makes a call, stops him.
Yeah.
Doesn't kiss him.
No, all of that Rose stuff was very awkward and forced and weird, and they never followed through with it on the third movie for reasons.
Rose not in the third movie.
Is.
Oh yeah, for 3 seconds. Yeah, sure.
I mean, she was supposed to have a subplot, but then Carrie Fisher died.
Oh, oof, that's sad.
Yeah.
Now I feel bad.
Really unfortunate.
Now I feel bad.
Let's just cut. That's weird, and it didn't go well. So I like Rose as a character. I think she's a good foil, regardless of which one of those two people you agree with. Please still have a presence in the movie. You teach Finn an important thing, even if you do it by being weirdly obsessive. But in this moment, I think it needs to be Poe to cement their friendship, to cement that Poe cares, to show that Holdo's sacrifice had an effect on him, both in teaching him a thing and giving him sort of a... I'm going to do an aside of a personal story. I'll try to make it quick. When I played Mass Effect 3, a lot of people can die in Mass Effect 3. I won't go into details for spoiler reasons, but I was playing through and a lot of people died. And there was a moment where I had to make a tough decision. And I chose the one that meant nobody died, just so I didn't lose anyone else that day. And I think Poe could have a little bit of that energy. Not only does he learn the lesson, but also he is harried.
Yeah, enough's enough. Nobody else dies today. We can do better than that. And it's a good character arc. It also is good character development for Finn for similar, but very importantly different reasons. To why it's a good character development for him in canon, in the canon
Yeah,
version.
it balances him out from, fanaticism to just very reasonable part of this resistance.
Yeah, just galvanized, but not this is my newest obsession and I'm gonna kill myself over it. Galvanized.
The last little point we have to talk about.
There's one other that I kind of want to bring up.
Oh yeah, sure, please. You go.
Well, it needs to come after that because it's something we want to add to like the end of the movie.
Okay, sure. Let's just kill Hux at some point.
He's fucking pointless in the third movie. Great actor, super fun.
Yeah.
Mega pointless in the third movie. The one good thing he does is I don't care if you win. I just need Kylo Ren to lose. And I mean that's not good enough for a whole character.
There's like an hour of the third movie we can cut, and a lot of it gets cut, but. It's fine. It's just, thank you, Hux. Thanks for coming. Fantastic job. Here's your paycheck. See you later.
Yeah, have him die to Holdo's Gambit. Have Kylo Ren just kill him.
Sure.
Just when he mouths off to him, instead of having him, cow him, have him just go, how dare you, how can you, and then he just cuts his head off. Kylo Ren is just done with Hux.
Or Force chokes him. That's a good one, too.
We're not changing most of the confrontation with Snoke. We're not changing most of the fight, bar the universal better choreography.
Or editing.
Or
that
editing.
also could have helped.
Yeah. But we're keeping most of that the same. We're keeping most of Kylo and Rey's arc together the same in this movie.
Oh, I think I know what you're mentioning. Something that we're moving?
Yeah.
That's actually, it's in the later notes.
Cool. There's one other thing, which is, again, at this point, when they've screwed up, we should add something into this movie referencing Kylo Ren trying to find out what Project Scion is. The thing we mentioned at the end of The Force Awakens. We bring it back here as like Snoke's final plan. One that survives even past him dying. He never told Kylo what it was. Phasma's dead, so he needs to go find out where it's taking place.
Yeah, maybe a big teaser about I need to speak with the Knights of Ren.
Yes.
Something
like he like comes up to an officer, not Hux. He's dead. Sir, bring me the Knights of Ren. And then we cut it off.
And that takes us to the final movie, The Rise of Skywalker, which we're probably going to have to change the name of, since the whole point of the series was to end the Skywalker saga.
And, spoiler alert, Rey's not going to be Rey Skywalker by the end of this. That's stupid.
That's really, really fucking dumb. We are, in fact, cutting out basically all of the Palpatine stuff, including it being part of Rey's lineage, because...
Now, go ahead.
It adds very little to the movie, despite how happy it makes you specifically to have been correct.
Now, Internet, I know what you're thinking, but the boy loves being right. And I do, Internet. I do love being right. It's great. Especially when I beat the Internet to that call. The only one who can prove it is this guy, but I said that shit coming out of the movie theater.
I vouch for you.
But, as funny as it is, it's a terrible fucking plot point.
And it doesn't mean anything. Like, I'm not getting into it.
I'm not going to be the guy who says it makes Anakin's sacrifice worthless. I've never agreed with that, but I understand why people have that opinion.
It doesn't even, like, we don't even need to get that deep into it. Not everybody has to be related to everybody. Oh my god, fucking stop it.
And that's the other thing, is there is a thing we're moving. We have to mention it for this movie, because we are moving it to later.
You know what? I forgot to make the note on it, yeah. The end of the third film. In the end of the second film, you got the little kid with the broom in Canto Bight. End of the third film, because of other things we're doing, we can have a different little kid with a different broom on, like,
some other
Kijimi or something.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just, I really like that scene. Anyone can be Spider-Man sort of scene. I love that. And I want that to be the philosophical takeaway from this series. But it doesn't work at the end of The Last Jedi.
No, it works at the end of the final movie.
Placeholder title. Placeholder. Blue Harvest.
Yeah, Blue Harvest. Sure, why not? We are also changing the opening text crawl, replacing the dead speak nonsense with the nefarious Project Scion nears completion and broadcasts from mysterious location in space demands surrender to the First Order to be spared from its wrath, or something along those lines. It sounds a little more pulpy.
Now, here's the thing, is at this point, the hyperspace skipping scene, the big scoop, 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 that's not happening here. We're cutting that from this portion of the movie.
Basically everything the movie opens with, that big action-y section, we don't need that. Get out of here.
No one needs that. It's fine. You remember Jedi. The movie can open a little slower. No one's going to fall asleep. This is fucking Star Wars. Trust your audience.
Well, and we will be able to open with Kylo furious that the Knights of Ren won't tell him what Project Scion is.
Especially when they've made a big thing to the whole galaxy saying, surrender to the First Order or face the wrath of Project Scion. And Kylo, who now leads the First Order, doesn't know what the fuck that is, and he's pretty mad that they had...
So one of the Knights of Ren is like, it was Captain Phasma's last order. She was concerned your feelings for the rebel girl were too strong to risk trusting you with something so important. So...
and Kylo, big scary badass man, but there's more of the Knights of Ren.
But he backs down. He makes a big show of playing it off. Well, this is my First Order. Anyone non-essential to Project Scion, find Rey, Chewbacca, and the rest of the Resistance and kill them. And then you will tell me everything about Project Scion. Something slightly better.
Yeah, both, reaffirming his bona fides with his boys, who clearly don't trust him so much at this point.
And it's fucking getting to him.
And also, reaffirming it with himself. you know what? Like, maybe that dig, like, Captain Phasma thought your feelings for the Rebel Girl were too strong to risk trusting you with Project Scion. That hits, because he thinks maybe that might be true. So he's like, he puts a kill order on Rey to prove, like, to himself, no, fuck her. She told me no. She turned down my offer. Fuck her, kill her. I'm gonna go kill her myself. You'll see. I'll show all of you. I'm Kylo Ren. I'm a badass.
I'm a madman. So we open up on, I didn't write down the name of it, but the planet where the Resistance is hanging out. Poe is cranky because he's still upset about Holdo.
Yeah, he's still upset that, one, they lost a really good general, and now he's the one in charge, and he doesn't think he's very good at it, so he's pissed that he's basically... He's got survivor's guilt.
Yeah.
Just to strip it all the layers of subtlety away, he's got really bad survival's guilt from not being the one to do the lightspeed assault.
Whereas in the Rise of Skywalker...
He's fine, he's a little bitchy.
He's pissed, but over what?
He's just in a bad mood that day.
Just
He woke up
having
on the
a
wrong
bad
side of the
day.
fucking bed. And no, make it for a good plot reason. So, most of the shit surrounding the holocron, the big triangle, is gone. We're removing...
The dagger, the this, the that. There's a lot that's just getting flushed. There's some important scenes that happen on certain planets because we were there for MacGuffin chasing. Assume those scenes either happen on different planets or we end up on the planet they happened on for some other reason.
Yeah, maybe they are... You know what? All of these people, Kylo Ren has mobilized the whole First Order. The whole First Order, who's in a big bully position. Also, another thing we probably are going to change is that the Resistance isn't going to just completely go back to being even with the First Order after they got their shit pushed in the last movie. They're still on the run. But Kylo Ren has mobilized the whole First Order around finding Chewbacca, Rey, Poe, and Finn. So instead of leading them right to what few Resistance people remain, they run to lead the First Order away from the Resistance.
Good. Yeah, that's really good. I like that.
So we can have all the same shit happen, all the scenes that are actually important, we can have happen because they're trying to run from the First Order, so they're still running from the First Order. And
they're basically playing a shell game.
They're playing a shell game, and we can have the they can fly now scene and all that stuff, all the fun stuff. We can keep all that, but that's because they're doing two things: running from the First Order and trying to find allies, because the Resistance is still fucked.
Sure. So they still go to Pisana, the desert planet, find the ship, find Dio, because if I cut him, my girlfriend would kill me. He's got the details on Project Scion. Weird. They're really old. Strange. But they need translated. C-3PO can still translate them.
But is inhibited by his programming. It's just Dio doesn't speak basic, and C-3PO and their encrypted files. C-3PO is good enough, but he can't. He can translate them, but it'll take time.
I mean, like, we could still do the weird Sith thing.
Please no, I hate that.
It's a bad plot point, but
yeah,
like,
I don't want to keep it. Just have it take time.
I mean, I feel like maybe there's some inhibitors placed on him that he didn't know were there. Maybe that's a bit of a question mark mystery we can cover in a comic book somewhere. I feel like them having to go to Kijimi
to get Babu Frick.
Babu Frick is cool. That's a great scene. Like, that's all fine.
Maybe he's like just not able to translate it without some sort of assistance to jailbreak his processor.
Yeah, basically.
And Babu
I like that a lot, actually.
Babu Frick's a guy who can do that.
Yeah.
So we can keep Babu Frick, because if we don't have Babu Frick, I'll kill you.
I'll kill me. There will be a queue.
But an important thing is, one of the reasons they go to Pisana, right, is because they're looking for allies, and they've heard that there's a group of people who keep running the First Order off that planet. So when we get to Pisana, that's where we run into the Stormtrooper escapees. They're here instead of on weird, pointless Death Star planet. And they're Lando Calrissian's entourage. It gives them more time to exist, gives them more of an arc, gives them more time to interact with Finn, because then it becomes clear that he's not the only, escaped Stormtrooper, and that can be more than well, I'm going to go back to yelling Rey now,
Yeah. It also, having them come in earlier and kind of letting that settle and stuff also allows us to develop his force sensitivity elsewhere in the movie.
Have him do Force stuff. He's obviously not as good as Rey. You can be Leia. You can be someone who has the Force, but isn't fucking Anakin Skywalker.
Also, Chewie's fake out death on Pisana. Let's let that linger for longer, like way longer.
I mean, if we let it linger for literally 10 minutes, it will have been 10 times as long.
I think once they're aboard the Star Destroyer and actually find him, that's when we, the audience, find out Chewie's okay. Because I think at that point we'll need because of how much happens, throughout this movie.
And maybe change how they find out he's okay. Maybe they're being pinned down by one of the Knights of Ren and an entourage of stormtroopers, and then as the knight is marching up to them, he gets blasted off his fucking feet from off screen, and then camera pans in a hallway, Chewie just and he saves their ass. Give it a big hero's moment.
Yeah, good big Chewie hero moment. They still go to Kijimi for what we talked about with Babu Freak. Zori Bliss can still show up because she's cool. We don't need to dwell on Poe formerly being a smuggler because nobody cares.
If we do, we get to add we're going to add the Nedry scene from Jurassic Park in there, where one of the other people points at Poe and goes, "Spice, we have a spice dealer here. See? Nobody cares. We have other shit on our mind," and then we just move on. Because that's not who gives a shit? Who gives a shit if your roommate used to deal weed? Yeah. No one cares.
This is the military. No one gives a single fuck. No one cared what Han Solo did beforehand. It wasn't a big plot point. Rey and Kylo still do their cool space warping fight. This is where we get the "your parents were nobody" line.
Because this has been something that's been building up throughout all the movies. We're keeping that Rey's parentage is very important to her. We're keeping all the flashbacks in The Force Awakens. We're keeping her being obsessed with it. Who am I? What's my place in this story in The Last Jedi? But instead of being something that appears to be like a legitimate question, the movie is also very interested in and would like an answer to. Yes, let's everyone, Rey is speaking for us, tell us where she belongs. It's going to be made clear, because this is not a hard thing to do thematically with just a few changes in music even. This is something that she should probably let go.
Yeah.
This is a weird obsession she has.
This is what I love, and I don't think it's a perfect story, but I think it's one of the things that salvages this trilogy is that Rey and Kylo's story is very good. They are mirrors of each other in that Rey is not purely good, and Kylo is not purely just evil McEvilson. If he's got a great fucking point, that makes him so much better. And the ones he makes in Vanilla Last Jedi are really good fucking points.
Let the past die, kill it if you have to. Good point, good thematic point for the series, good point for him to make. And have Rey's parents actually literally be nobody fucking important. It doesn't matter who they were. She's the character that matters.
Yeah.
Because anyone can be Spider-Man. I mean, have the Force.
Basically. Also, instead of blowing up the whole planet, which is, if that's the thing the Star Destroyers could do this whole time, why did we need a Death Star?
Yeah, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Instead, the Knights of Ren show up. They stayed on Kijimi way too long because Babu Frick needed time to, work with C-3PO, get the shit translated. So they stayed on that planet way too damn long, and the Knights of Ren caught up. And so this is the part where we establish the Knights of Ren. Maybe we've done it here and there with fight scenes earlier in the movie.
Well, and I don't even know how much we need to do that, because we did a big establishment with Kylo backing down from them.
True. You just make them look... But here's where they just go completely hog wild. The Knights of Ren show up and just start murdering everybody within their reach on this planet to try and draw the heads of the Resistance out to stop them. And then that happens, and then the heads of the Resistance have to run, again, to keep the First Order from, glassing at least a decent portion of the planet. And so then we can resume them running away, and we can leave it very up in the air whether or not, Babu Frick and his entourage, cool lady with the helmet, live. Because maybe last time we see them, they're in the middle of the fight.
There are other ways to kill people than exploding a planet, and there's other ways to keep tension
than killing people by exploding a planet.
And as said, of course, before, and everybody's going to be, embellishing this as the scenes play out, the Knights of Ren are really scary good at fighting. Yeah. Oh my god, they're very good.
They need to, BTFO pretty much everyone they fight.
Yeah.
Because it's important that we consider them a credible threat later in the movie. One thing one big scene, basically this is an entirely sort of, complete fan fiction scene we're inserting in service of getting to the same moment that happened in canon. So I'm just going to take the lead on this because I don't think you remember the exact verbiage we decided on.
No, I mean, I wrote some notes down, but this is your baby, which I support.
So the idea is, they get the translations done, they're running, and C-3PO, Babu Frick hands them a data stick with the translated data on it of where Project Scion is taking place. Where it is. Where's the actual planet? We need to go there and stop it. This is the disc at the end of Rogue One, and Babu Frick hands it to them, and then they fuck off. Well, they're running, but C-3PO's not a fast robot. He totters everywhere. So he's tottering, and they're trying to move as fast as they can, occasionally have, Finn and Poe picking him up and, moving him over stuff.
A lot of good stuff here, too, would be embellishing Finn and Poe's relationship as, they each keep dragging each other out of, I'll stay and fight!
No! I'll stay and fight! No!
Yeah.
And, and maybe have them, you're going to have a cool action scene here, kind of replace the runtime of the hopping scene at the beginning, where they keep dodging the First Order and keep dodging Knights of Ren and, putting stuff in their way. Just a big chase scene here, right? And then in the middle of the chase scene, you have C-3PO come out with his classic line to, it doesn't matter, say Poe, Finn, doesn't matter, Rey, whoever. Sir, the odds of us surviving in this situation are some ridiculous bullshit number. And have whoever he says this to, because it works really for either person at this point.
Yeah, sure.
The delivery is a little different, but basically the response is, well, 3PO, I'm open to suggestions. And then we cut away, we do something else for a second or two, maybe there's a blaster shot.
Maybe we scene cut back to Rey and Kylo.
Well, it's just something that takes 3 seconds. And then we cut back to that group, and 3PO's not there anymore. And then that's when the people who were in the group look around and see 3PO's not there. And then they turn back, and 3PO is on the other side of an open doorway from them, the one they just went through before he said that. And that way, the other person, the person who didn't say I'm open to suggestions, goes, what are you doing? And then 3PO gets the line that made me fucking tear up in the theater, and he gets to look at them and go, saying goodbye to my friends. And then he just shuts the door on them. He's buying them time and cutting himself off because he's slowing them down. What he meant was that their odds of surviving with him there are astronomical. That's an incredibly brave thing and this is C-3PO, so that's a really good crowning moment. Crucially, it implies that he dies, but doesn't show it, so we can have him come back later, maybe.
Yeah, if we want to. Not in this movie. I think the weight of that, is cheapened by him
coming back 3 minutes later. Yeah, that would be cheaper, right? That would suck.
But, I leave it open. Let's, we don't have to hear, oh my, and then blaster fire or anything.
No, just saying goodbye to my friends. And then he shuts it, and then one of them runs towards the door and, filling up on that thing.
Poe thing,
the other one drags him back, and explains, no, maybe Poe runs towards the door to try and open it. Finn grabs him. No, he's buying us time. Don't waste it. And then they run.
So, eventually, the MacGuffin trail leads us to Exegol. The stuff with Luke happens like the stuff with Luke happened. The stuff with Han, we don't fucking touch. We get to Exegol. This is where Project Scion is happening. We might have to do some finagling to get all that shit to happen, whatever. Project Scion is the resurrection of Emperor Palpatine, conducted in secret by Captain Phasma, who did wear armor made out of his melted down yacht. And the Knights believe he will restore order to the galaxy in a way the First Order and Kylo Ren have failed to do.
The clone factory in The Force Awakens, it was a way to make an army, but it was also mostly just research for how to bring back Emperor Palpatine.
So we get there. Everybody's in their character moments. Ben and Rey are fighting the Knights of Ren to stop them. Maybe they manage to kill a few.
Yeah, we're not changing the fight between Ben and Rey.
No. But Palpatine is revealed to be awakened. He's powerful in a partial machine body that looks kind of like Vader or a Sith Inquisitor.
Just something not too much on the nose. Vader with Palpatine's head shooped on
No,
top.
that would be terrible.
But like, just the kind of same. He is more machine now than man, but he's still powerful because this for two reasons. One, makes him a cool physical threat to have a big, cool final boss battle against. Two, more importantly, it sells that this was not a complete success because Palpatine always saw Vader as a failure because of his robot parts. So Palpatine having to take on the robot parts means he's not fully back. He's not all the way back to being MP Palps anymore.
Yeah. Thirdly, it's good narrative because here is Ben Solo fighting a silhouette of Darth Vader.
Yeah, like a very similar figure, and he finally gets to confront, and reject Emperor Palpatine like Vader did, and finish that character arc.
So we've got him. He cuts off Palpatine's arm because it's a Star Wars. You got to cut off an arm,
and then you cut off Palpatine's arm so that then Palpatine gets to do that. I'm too weak.
Yeah. His Ric Flair bit. But Ben gets to have a speech that is basically detailing everything we said. He rejects the dark side. He rejects Palpatine. And in a visual mirror of Han's death, Palpatine's other arm works just fine, thanks, and he has a lightsaber.
He has a different one, maybe. Maybe he has two.
Maybe the big one.
Yeah.
Two lightsabers is too much. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, you're right. Who would put two lightsabers in this? That would be fucking stupid. So, but yeah, he cuts off Palpatine's arm and Ben has a big speech because I am bothered by the fact that Ben Solo doesn't say anything in the movie. Has a big speech where he like outwardly rejects, I am a Jedi like my grandfather before me.
Yeah, it's good shit.
And Palpatine gets to hear that line again, and it just triggers him, and he goes like, disappointing, and then he sheaves him right in the stomach.
So Rey gets a big no. There's a big fight. Palpatine gets a new robot arm that was nearby with the Force. He Force attaches a new robot arm on. They fight like Lex Luthor in his robot suit versus a Jedi.
And Rey just wins. She just wins a regular fight. It is a cool fight. She shows mastery over the Force. She blocks the fucking Force lightning. She fucking has a big heavy shit battle with Palpatine and wins. She kicks his ass in a lightsaber battle. Like this is the moment you worked for. This is your big fucking John Cena going over. Your big Rey beats the heel in every possible way, is the Last Jedi. And you don't have to do a big, stupid, fucking dental plan voiceover scene to get it done, now do you? And it's better because now she's super ridiculous and OP. She's fucking Galen Merrick from The Force Unleashed. And it's been more earned because she's had a lot more struggles.
Yeah. I'm sort of ambivalent toward the weird Healy scene. I mean, maybe
Force healing's a thing. I don't know why people were fucking mad about that.
Sure, like we can still have it. Like for all you Reylo shippers out there, I don't care.
It's just
we can work it in somewhere.
Yeah, Force healing's a thing. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
I want to keep the scene where Leia gives like the last of her life force to resurrect Ben that first time.
Yeah.
Because one, it would be incredibly fucking disrespectful of us to say, well, we could do the fact that Carrie Fisher died better. But
maybe we can give Rose a secret letter from Leia. It's like, oh, you're neat.
One of the things we can do by having so much of this movie cut out is Rose gets to have a plot.
Sure.
It doesn't really matter what the plot is. Maybe she's like...
Maybe she saves Matt Parkman from dying. I was kind of sad they killed him off.
Yeah, sure. Why the fuck not? It doesn't matter.
Whatever the guy's name is.
Matt Parkman. That's just the end. Rey just fucking wins.
Yep.
And there's no the end of the fucking end game, everyone's here scene, because y'all didn't fucking earn that. They had 22 movies. Y'all didn't earn that.
I mean, yeah, and there's not a bunch of weird Force druids that are there for no reason.
If you want to make that many dudes there, have it be just a bunch of, like, maybe the Knights of Ren is a much bigger order than we thought, and those guys were just the ones in charge.
Maybe. Who knows?
That would be a good bunch of mooks for them to kill while in that big chase scene. Maybe they kill a bunch of the lesser knights and not the big ones who have the cool silhouettes.
Maybe. I don't know. But we build up the Knights of Ren to be a credible threat. We actually get to see them fight on screen, and things don't pan out stupid, including that. The movie ends on a New Hope-style celebration ceremony. Everyone, including Chewie, gets a medal, and it doesn't end on a knock-knock joke where Rey buries Leia and Luke's lightsabers on a planet that made them sad.
And maybe Chewie gets 2 medals, because he's down 1. He's owed 1. Maybe he gets 2. The other one can be different shaped.
It can be during the ceremony, though.
It can be the Star Wars equivalent of a Purple Heart.
Yes.
Maybe he got injured in the battle.
Maybe. And maybe he gets Leia's medal or Han's medal or something like that for their contributions, or fucking Luke's medal. I don't give a shit. Fucking put all the medals on Chewie. Let's just do it in a place that makes sense and not just, people watching the movie go, the medal that he already
Chewie got
like 5 times on like MTV Movie Awards and all sorts of other dumb fucking shit.
You're still so mad about Chewie's medal.
It's the dumbest. Chewie deserves a medal, and he deserves to get it in a better situation instead of like.
I guess Chewie can have a medal too. Look, we're done with this fucking movie. Wrap it up.
I guess Leia had this. I don't.
Like, she didn't give it to you at the time? I guess because she was racist back then? Maybe that's why she didn't hug him.
Well, we changed that. We fixed
fuck.
that. We fixed that with our movie.
We fixed racist Leia.
Yeah.
Speciesist? Who cares? I think this is a better, more narratively consistent version of this story while still hitting most of the same themes.
Yeah.
Is there anything we forgot to cover?
I don't think so. I mean, the reason these movies make me so mad is because they're almost good. And the third one is about half good and about half bad, and they dice it up for me so that, you fucking... It's like a roll of lifesavers where, half of them's pineapple, every other one is pineapple, and every other one is, orange or lime or something, whatever you don't like. You're like, oh, yeah, delicious. And, oh, no, I don't like this at all.
Yeah, I was gonna go for a pepperoni and I don't know, insert whatever topping you don't like pizza, where the base is pretty good and half the toppings are good and then the other half ruin the rest of it.
It's a bag of Birdie Bott's every flavor beans where you just happen to keep pulling them out in every other order.
Oh, delicious. Grass. Grass is good. That's a good every flavor bean. Delicious, very fresh. One of the 9 ones that are basically just the word vomit again.
It's bacon grease. Delicious.
Ugh.
If I were rescripting this from scratch,
very
way
different
fucking
movie.
different. But
very different. Same. If I were rescripting this trilogy from scratch, I basically would have done none of the same things.
I probably would have said it during Mando times and
Same. I would not have skipped 30 years.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the actors and all that, but Disney's got the fucking money. It doesn't fucking matter. I love this ending for Luke Skywalker. I will say it 1,000 times, but I would have also loved to see Luke being cool and kicking ass.
Yeah.
That's also an option. I feel like this is a great way for him to end, but I'm hoping we get some more Luke Skywalker and other material so that we can see him doing cool shit, because I like that character.
Same. You asked for it. We delivered it. If comes up again where there's something else that we feel like we can fix to this degree, I think this was a good enough experience that I'd be happy to do it.
I agree. Anytime you guys have ideas for us, feel free to suggest in the comments. Worst thing happens, we don't.
Yeah. But in any case, everything's better when nerds talk about it.